Do y'all do any pre-education before these camps? Because I know on the shark thing that we were talking about when we pulled for the bait, and they was asking what kind of shark, and the kids were like, ah! They were spitting it out. I was like, I didn't know that. Yeah.
So that's a whole part of our curriculum design is the first day of camp. Like you show up out of the gate and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hear from our researchers and they're going to tell you this is the research we're doing. So if you see a shark with a satellite tag or a shark with this kind of tag, that's what it is. And a lot of our tagging program education, like our sport fish tagging program, if you catch a tagged fish, a lot of times people will not report it because they're like, oh, right. I did something wrong. It's like, no.
Or I don't want to lose my fish.
I know. Yeah. And so that's where the first part of like the day is with our angler camp is like, hey, this is what the tagging program is. This is the research that we do. We're doing agent growth studies so that we can provide information to regulatory agencies. We're working on these different, we just want to know more about this species because they're cool. Like our hammerhead sharks, they're endangered. We know that there's not a lot of information out there about them. So we're going to study it. And so we kind of walk the kids through this like education of this is what we do at USM. And then these are the fish that we're going to encounter regularly.
Right.
Because you're in the Northern Gulf. It's a really special spot. The Mississippi Sound is amazing for its, variety of species and things. And so we're going to teach the kids, okay, nearshore, offshore reef fishing, here's what we're looking at. And, we're not planning to go on don't get in your skiff and go think you're going to catch a tuna. Like it's just not going to happen.
Nope.
And so really kind of like showing them these are where these species live and these are where these species live. And this is what you're going to see. And so they have all that before they get on the boat. And then we have for angler camp, we spend a lot of time like how to tie a knot and different knots for different applications.
Right.
Fly fishing is a new interest for a lot of people.
It's getting big down here.
I love fly fishing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Hopefully this year we'll have a larger fly fishing influence on our angler camp. But my very most favorite knot, it's a blood knot. I didn't realize that it was very common I knew it was common in fly fishing because that's when you're joining your like different size lines together. Yeah. It's just easy. Well, I think it's easy and quick. But I didn't realize that it wasn't like commonly taught to everybody.
We use swivels.
And so, yeah. And so I was like, just tie a blood knot. And they're like, no, just put a swivel on. And I was like, well, why? And so it was really, it's fun. I was like, no, you just like put it together. You don't need a leader. Just tie. And they're like, no. And so it's been interesting, like getting a lot of input and feedback and showing kids, hey, you have options, but also like, you don't have to, rig for like you're going to catch a tuna to catch a redfish.
Correct.
And so sometimes we'll have kids show up with these like huge like reels, like they're massive. And I'm like, what's
30 wide. Yeah, we're going to catch
like,
croaker.
All this, I know. And then they'll have like a panfish hook on the end of it. And I'm like, that's interesting.
You're never even going to fill it by it. You're never even going to fill it by it.
And so really walking them through like that first day and sometimes the first couple of days, like, looking at your conditions and saying, okay, is the bite on the top? Where's the bite at? What am I trying to catch? You're not going to catch a flounder,
on top water.
If you're using top water. Yeah. And so, these kids, and I love them, they get so much information from a lot of different sources because they, social media is everything.
On the phone,
all the time. And so it's always fun to see them come in and you have like those that fish every single day and are on it and they just look and they're like, okay, it's going to be interesting. So that's kind of the first part of it is learning the background. And then we just take them in the field and we tell them, rod and reel sampling is a sampling technique. We catch sharks on rod and reel, but we also sample and catch fish on rod and reel. And so you're a scientist, you're using their, preferred bait. You're using, what's going to give us the greatest